Now there's a new round of so-called scandals about the texts that a couple of FBI agents sent to each other. They were having an affair and they started texting, and they actually criticized almost all the politicians, including Hillary Clinton. Really didn't like Bernie Sanders, but they also definitely did not like Donald Trump. So of course now the Republicans took that and said, oh my God, it's a secret society conspiracy, and there's a coup by the FBI. All sorts of insanity. There's a new wrinkle to it about how President Obama was directing the Hillary Clinton investigation. And they've got text. In fact, I know that it's a big story because Donald Trump tweeted about it and said, new FBI texts are bombshells. I wonder where he got that from. Let me see a Sean Hannity screen capture here. Oh, new bombshell FBI texts. Huh. No, coordinating, watching the show and then tweeting about it? Donald would never do that. He's busy presidenting. Okay, so we have the texts. So let's find out if they are in fact bombshells because they're public now. So let's put these up. So again, it's Lisa Page and Peter Schrock talking to one another. Check out my 9:30 meeting on the 7th, and then response. I can tell you why you're having that meeting. Then it's not what you think. Then the next person says, TP's for D, which sounds kind of dirty. No, it's not a sext. It's talking points for the director, who at the time is James Comey. Okay, so that's normal. They're doing talking points for a public appearance, no problem. All right, yes, because POTUS wants to know everything we're doing. Oh, there it is. Oh my God. The President of the United States wants to know what the FBI is up to. What they got him. Last one. I'm sure an honest answer will come out of that meeting. And again, sarcastic response there. They had a lot of sarcastic tweets. Okay. Now, did the president want to know what was going on with the Hillary Clinton investigation, and was he trying to manipulate it? Well, that's of course the contention of the Republicans. So they say that this text raises additional questions about the type and extent of President Obama's personal involvement in the Hillary Clinton email scandal and the FBI investigation of it. Gohmert's got to step in here. We haven't heard from Gohmert in a while, and he's like, there's all sorts of dumb things being said by Republicans. How am I not in the middle of this? How am I not the star of this? So Gohmert jumps in and he goes, it means the president wants to know what they're doing to try to stop Trump. Okay, lots of theories there. We're not done yet. Let's go to that Hannity segment about the bombshell.
In light of the new Strzok text, well, we need to know, what investigation did Obama want to be briefed on? That's why tonight we have two very simple questions for Barack Obama and, frankly, everyone else involved in this scandal. Take a quick look.
What did the president know, and when did he know it?
All right, that was Senator Howard Baker. That was during the Watergate investigation, asking very important questions that President Barack Obama and others now need answers to. They got to answer to everybody.
You got to tell us. What did he know, and what did he know about, and when did he know about the Hillary Clinton investigation and how he was meddling in it? And then, of course, the White House picks up the ball from there. Kellyanne Conway next.
Let's also talk about the new FBI texts that are just bombshells.
It is very concerning to see two people sexting each other about this investigation. I mean, texting each other about this investigation on, and now you see it goes all the way to the top, according to them anyway. So I would hope that those who are so interested in doing that and calling for accountability and transparency and getting to the bottom of the 2016 election and the transition, by the way, will apply that same standard and that same curiosity to these, what seems to be never-ending texts between these two people.
Bombshell, bombshell. So notice how she said sexting, I mean texting. Yeah, they were sexting in other texts. They were having an affair. So I don't know what that has to do with policy. Anyway, bombshell, bombshell, president's involved in the Hillary Clinton investigation, or is he? So now we're going to the Wall Street Journal, well-known liberal rag run by Rupert Murdoch. Anyway, they say text messages from 2016 show preparation to brief Barack Obama about Russia's interference in that year's election, according to the associates of the FBI employees involved in the exchange, not, as a Republican senator suggested, meddling by then president in the federal Hillary Clinton email investigation. Oops. Wall Street Journal, owned by the same guy that runs Fox News, but they have real reporters over there, unlike Fox News. So they're like, yeah, sorry guys, that you got the wrong text. That's not what that text meant at all. It was not related to the Hillary Clinton investigation. It was related to the Russians interfering in the election, which of course you should tell the president about. What can do, not tell the president? Oh, by the way, a foreign government might be meddling in the election. Today, in another news story, we have that they actually tried to break into the voting rolls of 21 different states. That is massively important. And of course, the president should know about that. It didn't have to do with the Hillary investigation. Yet another gigantic lie about a so-called bombshell from Fox News and the White House. Well, here, one more from Wall Street Journal. Associates of Mr. Strzok and Ms. Page said that exchange referred to the president's wanting information on Russia election meddling, which the FBI was heavily involved in over that period. That exchange occurred just days before Mr. Obama met Russian President Vladimir Putin at a summit in China. Mr. Obama said in December of 2016 that he had addressed the issue of tampering with the election process with Mr. Putin at that September meeting. So it would have been negligent for the president to go talk to Putin if he didn't know how the Russians were trying to interfere in US elections. So as usual, perfectly logical explanation, and Fox News and the White House don't care. But as I've told you before, it's not that, haha, we got them and they're a bunch of clowns and they're busted and they gotta be embarrassed. First of all, they're not remotely embarrassed. They don't care about being wrong. That's not the bug, that's the feature. The reason it's a feature is they know that the Fox News viewers, which are Trump's base, don't watch other outlets. Read Trump voters? They don't read anything else. I don't know if they're even capable of reading anything else. So all they do is they watch Fox News. So Fox News lies to them and gives them the wrong information. Mission accomplished. Just because they put news in the title doesn't make it so. It's not news, it's propaganda. So you think, ha, we got them, they're wrong. They think, no man, we know we're wrong. You're missing the point, we don't care. Our whole point is to get 35% of the country to believe that Trump is right about everything. They don't have other news sources. So they will believe whatever we tell them. That's why we now have two different alternate realities. Actual reality, and as Kellyanne Conway herself said, an alternate reality. And that's the one created by Fox News. You just watched a video by the Young Turks, the home of the revolution. If you'd like to get the full show, come join us and become a member. TYTnetwork.com/join.